Welcome back, everyone. We are here for the 2023-2024 fantasy football season. The two masculine men sitting here on your screen, your commissioner, myself, Matthew Cross in the building, and I'll let this man introduce himself.
Sure you know who it is. The one-time champion, always getting top three. Coach Phenom in the house, baby. What's up?
Good to be back, man. It's that time of year.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's been
Stress
hard to get
levels
into
elevated.
football. Yeah, it's been hard to get in the mindset, but because the Orioles are doing so well, but
Oh yeah.
it's watching some preseason, getting it going, getting the vibes going. It's been fun. What you been up to this whole season? What you been doing to get ready?
I've been training physically because my body took a beating last year just because of how aggressive this league got. I
Yeah,
developed a terrible eating and drinking habit and then gained a ton of weight, so I had to work it off in the off season. But I'm ready and been doing a lot of thinking on who I'm going to keep. But I'm sure we'll get into that.
yeah, we're gonna definitely gonna break into that a little bit later. But I know you got to be thinking about that. Long off season coming in second place, losing to our reigning champion. It's takeaways from that game and just kind of what you're gonna do to correct those mistakes.
Oh, yes, that's a tough one. I think the biggest thing is, I had a lot of weight as far as my running backs went, and then made a lot of money with my tight end and my defense. Decent wide receiver core, but not the same once Cup got hurt. But I think where I really lacked was quarterback, like a consistent quarterback last year, and it's a tough one, man, because Tom Brady just didn't come out all year, and then last game he has like of our season, he had one of those biggest games of his probably biggest game of his entire
Yeah.
year, and didn't see that one coming, but it is what it is. Ed got in
Yeah.
there, got his name on the belt, so
Hey man, that's all it takes. I mean, I'm just kind of looking at it here. I mean, yeah, Ed took it down. I mean, I think even we did the math last year, but I think even with Brady playing, I think he still would have lost, but it would have been a lot closer. But I mean,
oh no
yeah,
no, would have taken it with Brady
oh,
for
you would
sure.
have.
I think he had like a 50-point game, and it was it would or maybe higher than that. It would have had it. I know that, but
Yeah, but Ed snuck in there. It looks like with a 5 seed last year in the playoffs. So it's all it takes, man. It's just you got to get in and you fight.
yeah,
So
he
8 guys got a chance.
he had a good team too. Considering that
Yeah,
Lamar was injured a good bit of the season, didn't play that much. And,
he did
he
a
made
really
it
great
in.
job on the waiver wire to get guys that could show up
Yeah,
in the late season for him to take it down. But
tough one to
uh,
recover from.
yeah, so he earned it. He did a good job. Tough break with Cup too, because obviously your team's way different with Cooper Cup.
Oh yeah.
But it is what it is. Injuries happen in football. But just a quick word, we'll move into the first segment here, just kind of talking about the rule changes, things that are happening in the league this year that are different than last year. We'll start easy to harder in conversation pieces. So waivers will be set based off of current league standings. Last place team will get first priority in waivers, and first place team will go last. So it kind of evens the playing field there. It's pretty self-explanatory. Playoff tiebreaker. This was one that would have got Tyler in the playoffs last year, and he would have done some damage that first week of the playoffs if he got it. I think he would have beat George. But they will be tiebreakers will be based off of total points as opposed to head-to-head tiebreakers. That's how Wazinski snuck in there last year. Because let's be honest, Wazinski's team really didn't deserve to have a playoff spot last year. Other than CMC, kind of lacked a lot of firepower. I would say I don't think he ever really broke 100, from what I remember. And then
Unlike that team in the past, where the past couple of years it had been a powerhouse as far as maybe not necessarily winning, but putting up some high
yeah, his first year in
numbers
our
week to
league,
week.
in our existence, I think he won the regular season. So guy knows what he's doing. Just kind of ran into some bad luck as fantasy football happens to be. The big change for the playoffs is there's no more home field advantage. I know that was a hot topic
Ooh.
last postseason, so we voted to get rid of that. So it's an even playing field, 1 versus 8 doesn't matter. Most points wins, no handicaps. And then the one that caused a major ruckus this week in our fantasy league is keepers. We were doing one keeper that was established, and I don't think anybody had a problem with that. But where the
Debatable.
issue in lied um, was honestly a mistake on my end because I thought that if you just had keepers, it would just keep them on your roster. not affect the draft at all, easy peasy. But apparently there's no way to do that in ESPN at all. So we had to do draft picks. So we voted as a league to decide what we wanted to do. And as the one person who voted against what everyone else voted for, I just kind of want to get your take on that real quick.
Yeah, I think some of it was definitely a misunderstanding. Coach Bucher came in there and kind of cleared it up a little bit, but
Yeah, shout
I
out to
guess
him.
by
He's the one that pointed it, like kind of Egan and I kind of started that conversation, and I think it was a very valid conversation. But I'm glad he brought it up because it definitely impacts the way the league would have shaken out this year.
and I hate giving credit where credit's due, you know me, but that one definitely kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there was three options, um, and I'll put it out there for everyone to hear. I'm in it to win it, cutthroat, and whatever seems most advantageous to Team Phenoms, what I'm going to do. Obviously, being 11th pick, some of the top players are gone by then, so. Um, my initial thoughts were it would be more beneficial to go a different way, but then it wasn't worth fucking the league too bad. Once he explained it, without him explaining it, I probably was about to step away from the league. But after getting a good night's sleeping, so thank you for granting that ability. I decided to stick around and see what I can pull back to back here with my first and second pick. So.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you're the guy that everybody loves to hate. So this league doesn't really operate without having you in here. But yeah, Nick did a great job with that. So shout out there. But yeah, so so now it's based off of where they were drafted last year. Now we can edit that in the future if we wanted to vote on any changes as far as how that works. But this year, that's how it's going to be. So if you pick, like I explained, I think in the text chain, if you traded for them, like from someone else, like I know Ed was thinking about keeping Breece Hall. Him and I did a trade, and he got Breece from me. So that would be I drafted him in the 4th round, so that would be Ed's 4th round pick. And then if you pick somebody off of waivers, since they were a free agent, you didn't draft them. That's your last round pick. So that's just kind of a kudos to you for doing a good job of picking up a good player. But yeah, those are really the rule changes, kind of that. But just moving on forward here, just to share my screen, and we're gonna just kind of take a quick look at what last year was.
We're still doing a snake, right?
Yes, it will be a snake draft. That was the other piece of information that I did leave out. It will be a snake draft, and
that's no
draft,
change either.
No, and the draft order, yeah, that's no change. The draft order was determined by last year's regular season finish. That's the order everyone drafts in. So this is based off playoffs, so it's a little skewed. So no alarms here, but just kind of like looking at last year. Here we go. Ed's champion, El Nino, aka Team Phenom, aka Purcell in second, and then Connor Monk Thieves. A really, really I would say undeserving third, man. I think he should have won the league. I think every week we talked about his team. He was dropping 140 to 170 points pretty much week in, week out. But, his team just really fell apart down the stretch there. And it just stopped putting up those big numbers and for whatever reason. But
Jefferson and Burrow, that says it all.
Yeah, man. He's got an interesting keeper situation, but we'll kind of dig into that a little bit later. But yeah, so that's basically the league. Just look at the draft real quick, kind of look at some guys who made some mistakes. I think everybody's draft's probably wrinkled with errors and mistakes, but I'll tell you one guy I'll give us keeper. Breaking news is Ryan is planning on keeping Davante Adams, and he had the 12th pick last year. So obviously DeAndre was not a great pick, but him picking Davante in the 2nd round as opposed to first is a huge advantage for him.
Oh yeah,
because since we're doing snake, he drafts at the end of the 2nd. So getting Davante at late 2nd value is tremendous. So that worked out for him. My team was just fucking terrible. So we don't need to get into that, but let's look at yours real quick.
I think my big one is, I pulled Kupp first, and then these other guys I pulled later on,
Yeah, but there's no way you would have got Kupp anywhere else but, the top.
But
top six.
coming off a serious injury and then having two solid run backs, it might not be. It's up there. I can definitely. We'll see. The fact
Yeah,
that it's Snake and I get back to back picks probably will pick Cup, but
I
just gonna.
think with you at 11, I think that's the right play, but we'll kind of get into that more a little bit here. I mean, pretty solid draft from Rock Boys, a team that I didn't give any credit to last year, but he did a really good job. So I gotta take that back a
And
little
with
bit.
Kelsey too, I mean that's we already know what's going to go on there probably.
Yeah, it's tough though, man, because I believe he's going to keep Eckler, based off our conversations, because he has the eighth pick,
Yep.
and there's no way Austin Eckler's fallen to 8, and that's he's a top 2, top 3 running back. So Kelsey might be available, in
Early
to
on.
go, but keeping Kelsey the second would obviously be a perfectly fine decision as well. The one that I do want to point out is again Ed. He for winning the league, he had a fucking terrible draft.
Oh yeah.
Because he picked Mark Andrews over Travis Kelsey,
I got
2
a
picks
tight end right in
before.
the second round too. It's
Well,
like,
he went, if I flip this to by round, you can see Mark Andrews went here and Kelsey went there late. So
oh, okay.
that's a pretty hurtful one. DJ Moore obviously was quite awful last year. And not awful, but not third round deserving. Just a lot of mistakes, and him and I have talked about just some of the guys he's picked up that
And
just
I
didn't
hate to
really
admit
work
it.
out. But we'll just take a quick look at his team.
And
To that to
Lamar, last year is not going to be Lamar this year. I think his value's gone up, especially with
I think
they coming
so.
there.
I definitely think that Lamar is fantasy wise, definitely barring staying on the field, of course. Um, is
Consider him as a
obviously going to be
keeper.
a probably top 3 fantasy quarterback, I would assume. So if he's not a keeper, and I don't believe that Ed's planning on keeping Lamar, I think that he'll be a pretty one of the first quarterbacks to go. I don't think it's anything crazy to say. But yeah, I mean, this is the team that took it down. Just Devonta Smith was the one that went on the run. Andrews didn't score a touchdown for 12 weeks. Just made some good moves, picked up Zonovan Knight, had some production for him. Brian Robinson was a good pickup, had some touchdowns for him, and especially terrible what Brees went down too. It's pretty impeccable that he won the championship with this team, but just pushed the
Oh
right
yeah.
buttons and got it done. So with
He
that
pushed the
being
right
said,
buttons, or maybe I hit the wrong button.
well, it's a lot of luck that goes into this, and there's some
That's true.
skill, but you have to get lucky. So anyone who doesn't know how to toggle between years, you just hit the league button and you just hit season and then go and then change it there. So our draft's in 15 days. We'll get into that a little bit. Look forward a little bit here. We'll take a look at the keepers for this year. So just kind of break this down real quick. I'm decided to keep Rachaad White. He's going to be running back 1 in Tampa. I picked him up as a free agent, so it's my last round pick. I think that value is really good for a guy that's going to get the bulk of the carries. I thought about Justin Fields, but I just decided keeping a quarterback's a little not great. It feels like I'd have to reach.
With that team specifically, it might be a little risky. Although he did prove himself last year quite
Yeah,
a bit.
I think Fields is a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I just don't know if keeping him and using him, because it kind of pigeonholes me in the draft a little bit to make a certain decision. But so we'll go to Wuhan Weezer here. He has not selected a keeper yet, but I think it's relatively safe to assume that Christian McCaffrey is going to be the keeper. He picks 5th this year, and I know if McCaffrey's on the board, he is not going to fall to 5. And I think everyone would agree that Christian McCaffrey is the guy that you got to have.
I mean, that or Juju,
Yeah, remind me why you have such a good affinity for
Oh
Juju.
yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Or Ryan.
I'm sure Ryan would love to talk about it,
Oh yeah.
but Pacheco is an interesting decision because I drafted him last round, but Wazinski picked him off of waivers, so that would be deep value. But I think it's pretty clear we kind of have to.
Yeah,
He would kind of have to go McCaffrey here, right? It kind of seems right. Just where he's drafting. Ryan's recently today updated it to be Devonta Adams, like we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense. Top 5 receiver. late second round value. That's good stuff there. Mike, he's going to keep Garrett Wilson, which I think is great with Aaron Rodgers coming to town. He picked him off of waivers because Tyler did not hold on to him, which I don't understand why. But that's another conversation. But yeah, Garrett Wilson's a really nice player. Great value. Last round pick since he was a waiver pickup. I mean, that's a top, low end wide receiver 1, probably high end wide receiver 2 in fantasy. So really good work.
This team performed last year too. He's going to be able to pick up his number 1.
Yeah, I mean, just take a look at his roster.
Right back. He's going to probably grab
he's drafting. I believe Mike is drafting third this year. Yeah,
should have been second, but he tried with a little last minute.
And I think that would have changed if we had like the scoring tiebreaker, but nonetheless, you don't have anybody that, I mean, you could argue Mahomes, I suppose, because just Mahomes is good as, they can't really go wrong.
Yeah, outside of that, nothing else really works.
Nothing really jumps off at me as like, I have to keep this guy. But yeah, I think Garrett Wilson was a great pickup by him. It really lays the groundwork for him to be able to really pick up someone of value at that 3 spot to really jumpstart this team. Because Najee, great volume, not a good player. Aaron Jones, Green Bay is a huge question mark this year. Just with the quarterbacking situation.
History of this team, you know what he's doing. He's going after, either Mahomes or Jackson right off the get-go.
Well, I don't think he's going to do that in the first round. I mean, he definitely did.
2 years in a row.
He did draft Lamar Jackson, I think, in the first round 2 years ago. But nonetheless, Team Coleman on here. What jumps out at you as far as someone that might be worth keeping? Because Jamar's the first rounder.
Yeah. Is he keeping Jamar?
He has not confirmed yet. He's looking at it. Let's look at his draft real quick.
I think we know that's going to happen. I mean, you'd be a fool not to.
I think it has to.
Yeah.
Just based off of
there's no one else on that level.
Well, so let's see here. He's got the 4th pick in the draft, and I don't think Jamar's fallen to 4.
Yeah.
If he's available. So Waddle in the 4th is good value. As other guys, Hurts in the 7th is honestly pretty good value.
Yeah, he's going to keep Jamar, and then honestly, he'd probably pick up whatever's available in the first round.
Again, kind of similar to Mike, where you're getting that upper echelon. Well, I mean, Jamar Chase is probably in a different stratosphere than Garrett Wilson, but because Jamar's going number 1 in some drafts. So yeah, I think Jamar's to me would be what I would do. But I could definitely see Waddle. I could definitely see Jalen Hurts as a keeper. But yeah, so that's
if I had to call it, he's going to do a Chase as a keeper there.
Yeah, because again, Chase is going to fall back to him
too.
Yeah, it's very true. It's just going to be tough for him to get Chase at 4 if he wants to get him back, which I would think that he would. Looking at Milkman here, I texted him about keepers. He has not looked open to the ESPN app since the season ended. So he's got some interesting decisions. Derrick Henry, obviously, Tyreek, Amon-Ra. I mean, what a great receiving core.
This is a tough one here because I mean Henry's never a bad choice, but then again, neither is Tyreek. So
no, we got to look at where he drafted last year.
And that's going to be huge. That's going to decide it, I think, with these 2 players.
Yeah, even 3, man. Amon-Ra is a great player too. So we got Henry in the 1st, Hill in the 2nd, Amon-Ra in the 5th.
Yeah, he's going to pick Hill and then get a top receiver out of it. Maybe not though, because Henry's rated number 4. So
yeah,
we'll go Henry.
If I'm Zach, I'm keeping Tyreek. Just because 2nd round value, it's kind of like Ryan's situation where you're getting really great value for a top echelon wide receiver. So can't go wrong. I mean, Henry in the 1st is probably fine too, and Amon-Ra in the 5th is tremendous value. It's between those 3 in my mind for what he's going to do, but he's got some flexibility. He's got some options, but we'll see. But that was a really good team last year. He came on strong late, just kind of fizzled.
What's the quarterback situation with Miami looking like going into this year?
Yeah, it'll be Tua. Tua's starting. Mike White's the backup.
Okay, so yeah,
Um,
that's not a bad. Mike White's going to get into the season probably. Halfway through the
I
first
would say
game.
it's
So,
probably safe to say that Mike White's going to take some snaps and some meaningful moments for Miami this year.
and he proved himself last year for
He's a
sure.
good player, and he can
Yeah,
sling it a little bit. So we'll
that might be
see.
the
But
future of that team.
yep, I don't know about all that, but I think Tua's the guy until But
Yeah,
you
he
just never
can't
know
hang
with
in
that
there.
with those head injuries, man. It's so
He's trending out
yeah.
positive with that stuff.
But yeah, Ed and I have been talking a good bit about who he's thinking for keeping. I know it's between Brees, Devonta, um, and that's probably it. There's a couple other guys that have been mentioned, but
Yeah, honestly, it's tough though because that's what he might have said he's doing, but then this guy's track record, he has a hard time not grabbing up Ravens players just like Mike. So I wouldn't be
well,
surprised if you see him
and it's
hold
funny
on to
because
Andrews again.
Ed's a huge Ravens hater too. But I mean, the Lamar to Andrews connection is that's a really strong one to have.
Claims to be a Ravens hater, but always grabs the guys.
I mean, it doesn't just because you hate them don't mean they're bad, right? But yeah, I think he's probably going to land on Brees. And the reason I think that is because of his draft position. He's the last pick of the draft since he won. So he's got that 12, 13. Got to be really hard for one of those really guys that have that top 5 RB presence to fall to that level if
Yeah,
they're not kept. So, with him keeping Brees, it allows him to kind of same reason I'm keeping White. It kind of allows me to take best player on the board as opposed to being because if he keeps Devonta, he has to go running back with that 12.
best player on the board might be this guy's kicker, man.
Yeah, a guy who can't make an extra point. That's probably a good guy to latch on to.
Yeah, remember that one game where what did he do? He basically
I
saved
think
saved Ed from getting knocked out on that one.
I think he put a 20-pointer, but I think he also
Yeah,
missed four field goals in a game or 4 extra points in a game.
yeah,
So yin and yang there. But yeah, if I'm Ed here, it's kind of a toughie because just
yeah.
nobody jumped off the page at you. It was like, I need to keep this guy. But I think Brees in the 4th round is solid. I know he's coming off the ACL. We'll see.
Yeah.
If he can tread water and just get in the playoffs like he did last year, and Brees is coming back healthy later in the season, he
He's
has upper. I mean,
yeah.
before he got hurt, he was dominating games. Like he was putting up 100 plus easy, couple touchdowns almost at 3 weeks in a row, and then he tore his ACL, unfortunately. But
He's
uh,
smart to hold on to the last minute before he makes his decision here.
yeah,
Unrelated to the league, let's talk about Brock Purdy. What's that looking like this year?
Brock's going to be quarterback 1 to start the year. I don't know what the leash looks like. Brock's all signs go to be starting week 1 as San Francisco's quarterback.
That's a low projection.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if what people are believing in him or not. I mean, let's see here.
I will say I'm a believer for sure.
I don't know if Purdy gets. I think he's got potential for sure. I just don't know if he's.
Backup quarterback status for sure,
I think
but not
for
much more
fantasy
than that.
purposes, I think he's either a late round selection or just somebody that's hanging out on the waiver wire, kind of like Jared Goff or Geno Smith or Daniel Jones was last year. It's kind of one of those guys that's very serviceable, just kind of hanging out. Because I can't really envision out of it in a 12-team league that Purdy's going to be starting over a lot of starting for anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how long the leash is for him to be the starter, but we'll see. Where are we at? And so Bucher has locked in Tony Pollard as the 8th round pick to be his keeper, which is great value. Tony's probably projected to go late first, early second, or maybe smidgy after that, like mid second at the latest, especially in our format with keepers. So really strong pickup there. Team that he made really good. I mean, picked up Geno last year, picked up Kenneth Walker. Guy knows what he's doing with fantasy football.
Yeah.
Considering he drafted Jonathan Taylor, and his draft was really rough last year. Speaking of people's drafts,
I will say this definitely a good choice on him.
yeah, absolutely.
So that's probably the standout for that team. Although
Yeah,
I
I mean,
will
look at
say,
this, man. Taylor,
yeah,
God knows. Javante was out
yeah.
last year. Cortland
And
Sutton
Lamb
out
was a
last year.
solid choice. It just didn't.
Lamb was fine, but
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson didn't score a touchdown last year. Allen Robinson was horrible.
Poor
Um,
guy went on Russell Wilson. Like no one saw that coming.
yeah, that's a we'll see what we can, that's another guy that we can talk about to see what he's going to do this year with Sean Payton at the helm. But
You see Nico Collins down there. That's how you know this guy's serious about his draft stuff.
yeah, Nico Collins had a high ceiling last year. Well, who
Yeah,
knows what he's
did a
going to
lot
do?
better
But
than people expected. And that team's only going to do better this year.
I don't know, man. I was just watching that preseason game. Stroud looked awful.
Can't go
Uh,
worse though.
they definitely could. They won the 2 or 3 games last year. They could lose. They could go 0-17.
Yeah,
But so God knows what you're going to get. But I mean, Stroud, you would think is going to play at a
Sutton
higher
let
throwing
down.
level than Dougie Mills. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, early round drafts really rough. But Pollard in the eighth is really great.
yeah.
Still had a really good year last year. Good, just a good manager, knows what he's doing.
We'll get a good
Uh,
first round pick.
yeah. Connor among Thieves, probably the best team on paper in our league last year.
Yeah,
Picking
this looks
later in
like we
in
know
the
where this one's probably going to go.
yeah, I don't think it's much of a conversation with Justin Jefferson being the keeper, right?
Yeah. So the only other thing to consider would be Joey B, but there's no way you're going to do a QB over a wide receiver. If you're a coach that knows what you're doing, this guy knows what he's doing. I think it's pretty much settled. But
Yeah, especially he's not picking in the top one, honestly, because if Justin Jefferson is available,
yeah.
Nate's going to scoop him up in that 1-1 spot.
Oh yeah.
So
And
I think,
Jacobs, solid player, but I mean, like you can't beat Jefferson. So
well, Jacobs hasn't shown up to camp yet, so who knows what we're doing there because he wants to get
yeah,
paid. He hasn't gotten paid, so the running back stuff's really weird this year, and it's definitely gonna make some running back values very odd. Because you got Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs hasn't shown up. And you have Kareem Hunt out there. Just a lot of guys floating around.
Jackson.
Yeah, just very, very odd. It's hard to go because I think some of those guys are going to sign late. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna somebody's gonna feel really good about their draft, and then like whoever drafts Ramondre Stevenson, really good player.
If it wasn't one of the top three receivers, I might consider Burrow, but with top three receiver right there,
Yeah.
arguably, possibly number one.
Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league. I don't think it's a
Yeah,
question. But anyway, yeah, the running back stuff's really odd. But like for an example, like I thought about keeping Ramondre Stevenson, decided not to just for the fact of say I keep him, we draft, and then Dalvin Cook signs in New England. There goes my value. So it's a little scary. But so we got 10 minutes left on this call, so that's fine. Almost done anyway. So team Nate, Pete locked in Stephon Diggs. Not much to talk about on this team. Came in dead last year in our league. Diggs is a good keeper. Again, kind of similar situation to Ryan, and most likely what Milkman's going to do with
knows
Tyreek.
football. It's upsetting to see this happen year after year. This guy, I'm kind of hoping that Nate, is in the top of the pack this year.
Well, he's got the 1-1, so
stop.
he definitely can stockpile some really, really good players to kind
of
like Mike.
Stop auto drafting. Auto draft, that's what you deserve. So.
Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but yeah, Josh, he locked in Austin Eckler as his keeper. Get kind of like we talked about. Not going to get Eckler at the 8, so you're getting still really good value for a guy like that, and then I'll let you talk about your thought process on what you're thinking. So
yeah, Rock Boy is controversial team for sure, but guy knows what he's doing.
Apparently,
so yeah, he did great last year too. So hung in there. It's tough to beat. So here, I don't want to spill all the beans, but I guess I'll be open with you guys. Cooper Kupp is going to be a tough one to let go. I am a little worried about who's throwing to him. But I don't think it's any different than.
well, Stafford's going to be thrown to him again, so.
Yeah, but the same same thing with Jefferson though. You don't have like a top three quarterback throwing at him, so it's tough.
Yeah,
But I think these guys are
but
good enough that
but I
they're
think
and
I
they're
think those guys just kind of it doesn't matter who their quarterback is as much.
and they're
Like
the
Devon,
standout receivers on the team. No one else is getting the same attention they're getting. So
yeah, but you look at Devontae Adams when Stidham started for Derek Carr last year, he had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. So
yeah,
yeah, those guys are just a little bit different. Doesn't really matter. Cooper Cup gets open, so I know you're picking 11th. I know it kind of stinks to use your keeper on a first rounder, but
yeah.
I mean, there's
That's where
no
I was
way in
kind of.
hell that Cup isn't going to fall. Or if you can live without Cooper Cup, obviously,
Yeah,
sure, but
that's where I was leaning with Barkley. Like I could very well, go for running back to, Trevor Barkley, but there's no way Cup's not gonna make it to me. So
I don't think. I
I
mean,
don't think
Chubb
so
might come
either.
back to you
Yeah,
possibly, but I don't think Barkley or Cup would make it back to you at 11.
yeah.
So I don't
I
think you have a bad choice there. Just kind of like looking at your draft.
My
'Cause I know
biggest
you
fear is
those.
just coming off the injury, being gone all season. Like I think he'll be fine this year, but it is a gamble. So,
Sure, I
but
mean
then
it's
the
yeah.
running back's always a gamble too. Those guys get hurt all the
Yeah,
time.
so Barkley in third round's really, I mean, that's really good value for him. Um,
Yeah,
but again,
and it's not
it's
like
just
I'm getting
who
any value drafting 11th either. I'm going to get back-to-back picks, so I'm going to get two,
really good
low-end receiver and
players.
a high-end running back-to-back. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
So I
wind up with
think
another Metcalf and then another Barkley back-to-back if I keep Cup. Though. Probably what I'm going to do. So.
well, yeah, I mean that makes sense. I got no issue with that thought process at all. So
I'll be honest,
there's
I'm just kind of waiting to the last minute to make my decision in case, some news gets dropped. So,
no, well, yeah, I mean you can put somebody in now, but they're not locked until I made it to 23rd or something like that. So
okay. If that's the case, I'm going to lock in Cup then. So,
all right, I can do that for you.
yeah, go
But
ahead and
anyway.
lock in Cup and then just in the chat, just drop, the drop the date.
Yep. But yeah, so here's a draft order. We got Nate drafting first, Ryan picking second. I don't know what Ryan did last year, but it was not good. Obviously picking second.
Yeah, that guy's got a lot of distractions going on in his personal life, having, a daughter born this year,
Yeah,
a son at the house. He just guy's head hadn't been where it needs to be. Working Saturdays.
yeah, not able to dial it in.
The guy knows his football, that's for sure. But just, whew.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him and Team Nate, hop on the other side of the board.
it would be good to see
I
some
know Risky
parity.
Dipper knows his stuff too, but I like seeing Risky Dipper and Ed at the bottom. So.
Well, I know you and Mike like to get after each other, so he's
Oh
picking
yeah,
third. Tyler picking fourth. Another guy that knows what he's doing. Had a good team last year. Just I don't really know what happened with his team, but we got Wazinski 5. I'm picking 6th. Bucher 7th. Rock Boys 8th. Milkman 9. George 10. You 11. And Ed 12. And then like I said, we're doing fake. So it'll be interesting though with the keepers because I mean a lot of the guys going early in drafts now are these like prime time receivers. So it's gonna be really interesting to see who is hold on here.
how much time we got left?
We have 4 minutes left, but that's pretty much
Touch
it.
touch on the in-person draft real quick.
The
Who all's
importance.
attending? Who's not? Who's questionable?
Well, everyone should be drafting. I don't think there's anybody that's going to be auto drafting unless like Nate has to shoot somebody or something while he's working. But everyone should be online. Everyone should be good to go. I am having a get together at my house August 26th. I know a lot of people are going to be in attendance, but not everybody. Which we won't tap into that because we don't have time. But yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting with the draft. It's all going to be online. So anyone who's in person at my house, I have a big board. So what I will be doing is I will be pausing the draft for anyone who is in person. I will be keeping the minute and 30 seconds per pick myself on my phone. And so whoever is selecting can put their pick on the big board, and then I will input it into ESPN's draft at the time after they put it on the board. So it won't hold anybody who's not in person up. It'll be very fluid. But if you see the time pause, that's what's happening. I'm keeping track of the time, so nothing weird's happening. It's just that's what's happening. So But I'm really curious to see what the keepers, how the first round goes, because yeah, you're gonna have some good players on the board, and it's gonna be interesting to depending upon who keeps who on what they're gonna want to go for in the draft. So
And I will say, I do fully intend on showing up in person. I know there's a little bit of question hanging out up there in the air. Um, it just depends on if I get up there that weekend or not. But my intention is to show up. I will be set up in the corner with security though. So,
yeah, well, I already talked to your security; they're more than welcome to come. So, but yeah, so that's basically it. Looking forward to the season. Any closing statements? I had some feedback that having you on as my co-host was a little stale. What do you have to say about that?
and who is the co-host?
Well,
Me having me as the co-host was stale. I would just. I think I already know who's sending that message, but
I'm not gonna. I said anonymous submission
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you can never disclose who your source is, but
No, never.
I just don't see it being back to back this year. Is all I gotta say. So.
Well, do you think you can provide really good content for the year here, or
If not, we might see an opposing podcast pop up.
yeah.
We'll see if I get
Well,
invited back.
I think my intention is to get everybody a guest spot on the podcast at least once a week, one week. Like everybody gets a week along with us, so everybody gets to shoot their shot and everyone has to have a little bit of fun. So that's why we're doing this, because it's supposed to be fun. So,
And maybe that week they'd be the co-host and I'd be the guest.
well, whatever floats your boat. But that being said, I'm looking forward to the season. Looking forward to seeing people at my house. Looking forward to getting this going, and good luck. I try to stay as impartial as I can, but obviously I want to win. But
Don't we
we'll
all?
see. Don't we all? But well,
Except for Nate.
hey man, he's got it. Everybody's 0-0 almost got a shot. So with that being said, until next time, I will end the call, and we'll get this going in preparation for after the draft week 1.
Sounds good. Look forward to seeing you guys at the draft.
All right.